You're listening to Podcast PXN, PlayStation, Xbox, Nintendo. Let's do this. Go.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Podcast PXN, episode 75. I'm Rashan, aka Roro, and today I'm joined by Dan, aka the Halo Man, Daniel Prindle.
Yeah.
How are you doing today, Daniel?
Great. We're here. We did it. Tons of news.
Did it. Yes, oh my gosh, there's a lot that we have to talk about. Big thank you to everyone listening and watching live. We record every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern on YouTube and on Twitch. Just search Podcast PXN on YouTube or on Twitch, and you'll find us. Today's topic of the show is all the PlayStation news. We're going to be talking about the VR stuff, the games that are potentially coming to PC, and of course the state of play. Maybe we'll give our little predictions as to what we may see tomorrow. But before we get into that, there's still a lot in the news that we have to talk about. And we're going to start off with the PXN news of the week. So starting off this week is Anthem Next has officially been canceled. So we're starting off with some not so happy news. Christian Daly, the executive producer over there at BioWare, announced this on the BioWare blog, and this is what she says. So I'm reading from her post here. In the spirit of transparency and closure, we wanted to share that we've made a difficult decision to stop our new development work on Anthem, aka Anthem Next. We will, however, continue to keep Anthem the live service running as it exists today. Since Anthem's launch, the team has been working hard to continually improve the game, releasing multiple updates that brought with them a variety of improvements and introduced new content to play. Towards the end of 2019, we expanded the effort and started working on more fundamental restructure of the game. She continues saying that COVID-19 kind of played a role in, or a factor in, the development having to shut down. And of course, we had the earlier reports that EA was kind of looking into it a bit further, and you could probably imagine that they didn't see the worth in BioWare continuing this, so they obviously shut it down as well. But Christian, shares her disappointment with the community and apologizes for it being disconnected and being discontinued, rather. But of course, she also mentions that all hands are on deck for Dragon Age, Mass Effect, and the Star Wars, The Old Republic. So definitely some sad news. Kind of not surprising news, though, but sad all the same. What did you think about this?
Yeah, I think we had this discussion when it was first talked about. I guess Jason Schreier from Kotaku was kind of the one who, or not Kotaku anymore. He's business Bloomberg. You're right.
I think Bloomberg. Yeah.
But he was kind of the first to report it, and I think I said at the time, I was like, yeah, I don't think that they're gonna, bring this back. There's not really a population of players there that it made sense for them to even entertain this, because why put out updates for a game that was already unsuccessful? And yeah, there was some cool base gameplay there, like the whole jetpack thing. That was what people were so excited about from the get-go, because they were like, man, this is like Iron Man, except, it's not Iron Man, but it was similar. So I think that it's probably best for BioWare to just say, hey, it wasn't a success. Let's just move on. Start focusing on just Dragon Age and Mass Effect again, which they did so well with last gen, or I guess not last gen, but 360 gen / PS3. So I think this is, at the end of the day, I think this is good news, because hopefully that means that the next Mass Effect game is going to be actually amazing again, like the original trilogy. So
yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'm excited for the team to hopefully move on to, like you were saying, the other games that are upcoming. It is a bummer that Anthem won't see Anthem's full potential. Hopefully that's what they were working on. We may never see it. It may never see the light of day. You were talking about how the jetpacking and how it feels like Iron Man, and I love the core gameplay of Anthem. And I feel like it nailed Iron Man better than Marvel's Avengers did by Square Enix. I feel like that felt better than how Iron Man feels in that game. But yeah, it's a bummer, but as you said, not surprising. Sure. But moving on to our next story, GameStop CFO has resigned. Whoopsie. I closed the link here for that one. If you just give me a moment to pull it back up, but it's as you can expect, GameStop CFO has resigned. GameStop has announced its chief financial officer will depart next month. Jim Bell, who also holds the position of executive vice president, will resign from his roles at the U.S. retailer on March 26th. In a statement, GameStop says it has already begun seeking a replacement CFO, calling in an executive search within the firm to help with this process. They're looking at internal and external candidates. They say if they haven't replaced Jim Bell by the time he leaves, they're just going to appoint Vice President and Chief Accounting Officer Diana Jaje, I think is how you say her name.
Yeah.
But IGN also reports that he got a severance bonus of 2.8 million, which is twice his base salary and target annual bonus, according to IGN, because he left for a good reason, according to the GameStop's SEC fillings. There is no additional information on what that reason is, but he left for a good reason, apparently. But yeah, also, yeah, I don't know what to say about that. But his departure obviously should be mentioned, that follows the short squeeze on GameStop stock and all that craziness that's happening again right now as we speak.
Yeah.
The stock just skyrocketed again. So that's obviously, I'm sure you guys are familiar with the online investment communities kind of raising the price and trying to increase the losses by short sellers and all that stuff. So that's also maybe a factor in his leaving. I don't know. He is the financial officer, so I'm not sure. But GameStop has been in the news, and it never seems to be for good news recently.
No.
Yeah.
No, not at all. I think it's funny. He had a good reason to leave. Yeah, he was leaving GameStop. Like, that's the only good reason you need. I think we all pretty much at this point know that GameStop's going to go away probably in the next 5 years, but definitely in the next 10 years. And that's clear by the way the games are actually moving right now to all digital format. It's not like it's not even the same as like movies and stuff, where movies have a lot of streaming stuff right now. I don't see movies going away physically anytime soon, but games are so much more accessible, I guess, with the consoles, because the consoles have the built-in stores that you see all of the promos for, and all the sales and Steam sales and all of the other things that come with digital content. I just feel like GameStop, with them being so focused on just video games, eventually they're going to be gone. So yes, his good reason was he's leaving GameStop.
My goodness. And he got 2.8 million to do so, man. Oh yeah, my.
That's good, insane. Yeah.
And as you were saying, like GameStop just focusing on games has more and more been its downfall, with digital becoming such a huge part of the industry and people just not needing it anymore. And they've tried different things, but obviously COVID didn't help with they've been making like more hospitable. I don't know how to describe this. Comfy.
Yeah.
Comfy.
Like a hangout.
Like a hangout area in their places. Like to have like a coffee shop, I guess, kind of atmosphere in GameStops.
Yeah.
So they were definitely trying something, but they never got the chance to kind of see it through, or maybe nobody had interest anyway. But I know I personally wouldn't want to hang out at a GameStop, but that's just me.
No.
But yeah, well, we'll see. But I definitely agree that GameStop is going downhill, as we can see by these headlines and just the history for the past couple of years. But yeah, moving on to our next story, talking about bad news. Cyberpunk 2077 next big patch has been delayed due to CD Projekt Red's hacks, so they say. Patch 1.2 is moved from February to March. This comes from their Twitter account, Cyberpunk. Every time I see Cyberpunk, I want to say CD Projekt Red. I talked to you guys about this last week. I don't know why. I see Cyberpunk, but like, let's say CD Projekt Red. No. Anyways, Cyberpunk 2077's Twitter account. They posted this on February 24th, so today actually. While we dearly wanted to deliver patch 1.2 for Cyberpunk 2077 in the time span we detailed previously, the recent cyber attack on the studio's IT's infrastructure An extensive scope of the update mean this unfortunately will not happen. We'll need some additional time. So as you know, the cyberpunk that the see, oh my god, the cyber attack that happened at CD Projekt Red was a big one according to what they're telling us, and the data that was stolen was sold on the black market. So a lot of catching up they need to do internally, getting those stuff back. I'm sure they have backups as we talked about a while ago, but there's a lot of running around that they are doing that kind of pushback their previous goal of February. They also write our patch goal. Our goal for patch 1.2 goes beyond any of our previous updates. We've been working on overall quality improvements and fixes, and we still have work to do to make sure that what you get. With that in mind, we're now aiming to release in the second half of March. Daniel, what do you think about this being a delay? Is that expected?
Yeah. So after their whole hacking incident, I kind of expected something like this to happen. Just because working in the IT field, I know how insane it would be if our stuff got hacked, and this is no different because essentially, whenever they were hacked, their IT team would have had to have shut them down completely because everyone working from home right now would be shut out of their systems. They would have to shut off all connectivity to the outside world, internet and everything. So nobody at CD Projekt Red could have been working during that time that they did that, because in order to secure their environment, they have to shut everyone out. That's the first step. The second step is clean up whatever they did to infect their system, and then restore the data from backups to wherever they need to restore it to. So just with having an IT background, I understand how complicated that is, and like knowing I'm sure they have a ton of people that were working on this, and not just their own IT team. I'm sure they brought in outside people to help them as well, because it is a lot. If something like that were to happen to my job, for instance, it would be a pain in the butt for sure. So that's why you kind of have to give them the benefit of the doubt on this particular circumstance. And like, we can argue all day about whether or not, the game shouldn't have came out to begin with, but in this case, they were probably genuinely wanting it and thinking it would come out in February, but with the hacking, it did probably set them back quite a bit. So
definitely. How is your Cyberpunk 2077 gameplay going? Have you gone back to it? Have you finished it?
No, no. I played it for a few hours, and I kind of got to the point where I was like, okay, I don't want to play this until it's at a more complete state, but I don't want to wait until fall when the next gen version comes, because I know Halo Infinite is going to just eat me all of my time right there. So I don't want to do that. So I'm thinking hopefully by this summer they'll have pretty substantial patches out where I can actually go in and play it start to finish. And I know it's not as bad on next gen, but I'd like to have like a more complete experience, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I totally understand that. If you're gonna continue playing it, you're gonna want it at the best possible place that it's at, to just to get the best experience out of it, for sure. But yeah, I haven't gone back. I don't have it actually. I refunded it, so I don't know how I would have gone back to the view if I wanted to. But yeah, I hope to go back to it someday. But like you, I hope to play it in its finished state. But moving on to the next story, this is a big one. BlizzCon happened, I guess last weekend. Like, I don't remember the exact date. Yeah, I think it was over the weekend. Yeah. And a lot of stuff came out of it. So we're going to go through some of the announcements, talk about our, I guess, highlights from it. But I'm just going to go through the list of them here, and I'll ask you what you think about them.
Yeah.
So the first one is Blizzard Arcade Collection. So Blizzard is bringing back some of its classic games, launching. Well, back then it says launching today, but it would have been when this happened.
Yeah.
So on PC, so it's out now, everybody. It's on PC and consoles. The collection features the Lost Vikings, Blackthorn, and or Throne, sorry, I think Throne. Yeah, Throne, and Rock and Roll Racing, both their classic and newly enhanced formats. So super cool. I love when companies bring back their hidden gems or classic games for fans that really care about their hidden gems and classic games. So I love when they do stuff like this. So how do you feel about the Blizzard Arcade Collection? Do you have any attachment to any of those games at all?
To be honest, no. To be honest, in general, I don't really have much experience with Blizzard until I guess semi recently because Diablo 3, I believe it came out originally on 360. Diablo 3 did, and then I got the Xbox One version as well. I might be wrong in that, but I got it either late 360 or early Xbox One gen, and I love Diablo 3, and that was really my first like jump into like a Blizzard game. So before that, I really had no experience with Blizzard, so none of these games really mean anything to me, but it's cool for people that, maybe have been missing these games. So.
Yeah, definitely. I'm in the same boat. Blizzard is it's kind of a blind spot for me with a lot of their titles besides Overwatch.
Yeah.
So obviously I'm going to talk a lot about that when we get there, but a lot of what's on this list is just not something that I'm interested in. I'll ask you before I say it, are you into World of Warcraft?
Nope, not at all.
Okay, then I'll just say what was announced, and we'll move on to Diablo, which I know you're into.
Yes.
So World of Warcraft Shadowlands patch 9.1 Chains of Dominion has been announced. So more Shadowlands content for World of Warcraft, new location, new quest, and 10 boss and a new 10 boss raid. Oh my gosh. Wow. That sounds awesome, actually. Wow. Have fun with that, guys.
Yeah.
World of Warcraft, the Burning Crusade Classic expansion announced. Blizzard continued its trip down memory lane during the opening ceremony with the Burning Crusade Classic, an expansion coming later this year. And apparently it was initially leaked by press kit, so a lot of fans apparently saw this one coming, but more content for WoW Classic. Pretty cool. And Hearthstone stuff. I don't even know what to say about this one. It's obviously the card game, similar to, I guess, Gwent, you could compare it to. At BlizzCon 2021, it was revealed that Hearthstone is getting its very own Warcraft-themed expansion. So new cards, awesome. As for the new Mercenaries mode, Blizzard says it will feature roguelike missions and strategic RPG gameplay. All right.
So
and now we got.
I kind of lied a little bit there because I believe I started playing Hearthstone before I played Diablo 3. It came out in 2014. I just looked it up, and I think that Diablo 3 came out after that on console. So I played that Hearthstone a ton during college, like waiting between classes. I absolutely love that game as well. I haven't played it in a very long time, like probably since college I haven't played it, but I just wanted to throw that in there. I love that, and I love that they continue to support it. So
there was definitely a moment in time where I played a bit of Hearthstone as well. I didn't get very hardcore into it, but yeah, I played a bit of Hearthstone, and it is a good game. I did enjoy my time with it, and agree. Awesome that they're still supporting it for sure. But now, getting into the Diablo stuff for Daniel. Yes. Diablo 4 Rogue Class trailer was revealed, and what a brutal trailer it was, with all the decapitated ears on the pews with the priests in there. Oh my gosh. Just in time for Blizzard's usual quarterly developer update, we were given our first look at Diablo 4's Rogue Class with an eerily dark cinematic trailer. IGN interviewed game director Louis Barriga, who went into more detail about the newly revealed class and Diablo 4's PvP. So the trailer looked really cool. The gameplay for this class looked fun as heck. Daniel may be able to speak better to it than I could, but it looked fun.
Yeah, it's just like the reason I love Diablo is it's just so chaotic and so much fun. Like I just love the whole top-down atmosphere and like these different creatures going after you, and you have so many weapons at your disposal. I love how all the classes kind of act very differently than one another, which I've heard from a lot of people. That's one of the coolest parts, is going back through another playthrough of Diablo as a different class, because it plays very different. This new class looks really awesome, which I think this is a return from either Diablo 1 or 2. The Rogue class, I think, was in one of those games that they're bringing it back for 4. But yes, it looks really good. And the action-y sequences is what I love so much. Like when you have 100 people on screen and you're shooting your arrows all around you and you're casting like fire up, and it's just, it's so good. And the environmental effects look really good in Diablo 4 as well. And obviously this is still early in development, so, well, not early, but you know what I mean. It still has a lot of time before it's coming out. So very excited for more Diablo action for sure. And that might not be all the Diablo we have coming.
Yes. As Daniel just hinted, Diablo 2 Resurrected has been announced as well. BlizzCon 2021 has even more nostalgia for us, this time announcing Diablo 2 Resurrected and confirming it will launch on PC, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series X, and of course the Nintendo Switch.
Yes.
So fantastic. They're bringing back an fantastic game.
Yes.
For, more nostalgia, as they said here. Have you? I'm assuming you've played Diablo 2. Are you excited about this one?
I have not. So Diablo 3 was the first I played in the series, because I never played on PC. And Diablo 3 was the first one that was on console. Diablo 2 is looking very good, though, the new Resurrected, because they're doing basically a Halo anniversary treatment. So all the visuals are being updated, and like textures are brand new textures and everything. But they're going to have a button, much like Halo Anniversary, where you press a button and it goes and shows you what the graphics looked like before, and you can play in that original style, or you press it again and you go into the newer Anniversary style, or Resurrected style, I guess is what this is called. And you can play in the new version, which looks so freaking good. And it's funny, it looks really good, but it's visually very different than what Diablo 4 is going for, because I'm assuming it's just a very different stylized game. But yes, it's very, very, very pretty looking. So I'm excited to kind of dive into it and kind of be a little teaser before we get Diablo 4, I guess.
Definitely. And I love that feature where you can switch back between the original graphics and the new graphics. It's a feature that I really like in Halo as well. Yes. So I love the option there. But moving on to stuff that I'm super excited for is Overwatch 2 news. We didn't get a release date or word on a beta at BlizzCon 2021, but we did get a nice behind-the-scenes panel with various developers that are working on the team, and we got a lot of interesting details from the Overwatch team on what they're working on. And of course, I'll start off by saying we got some new maps. So we got a look at Rome, at New York. I think there was some India as well. Maybe I'm speaking as to what we saw before this, but we definitely got New York and we definitely got Rome.
Yeah.
And holy heck, do those maps look beautiful. Yeah. Like I love the like they said in the panel, that they try to stay true to what the place actually looks like, but obviously add their own Overwatch spin on it, and it looks so futuristic but still so modern at the same time. I'm just super excited to explore these maps because they look beautiful. And what else do they say here? New York is recreated in a 1920s Art Deco style, yes, and with sci-fi elements woven in. Yeah, so the art that they showed was just absolutely fantastic for not only the maps but the characters as well. They showed off Sojourn, who is a new character coming in Overwatch 2. She has a railgun. She's from Canada as well, so Canada represent. Right. They showed off Toronto was another map that they showed up as well. So they have dynamic weather on some of their places as well. So there was some sandstorms shown off on a couple of maps, and Toronto had a blizzard going on, so it obviously affects your visibility, and that could help or hinder you in battle for sure.
Blizzard,
There's a lot.
no pun intended.
No fun intended though. There's a lot of single player stuff that they showed off too, which I'm super excited for. The hero missions are places that are PvP missions actually, that you can level up your hero. So there's skill trees now for each individual character. There's cinematics in the story mode trailer that start and end each mission, so that we're getting a lot more story woven into the actual gameplay, which is something I'm excited about. Everything that they showed off in that panel was something that had me drooling. I don't know about you, Daniel, how you felt about what we saw on Overwatch 2.
Yeah, I think it looks really awesome, and I was one of the ones saying, like, when they first announced Overwatch 2, it almost felt like it was just like a, expansion. It very much felt like, well, here's Overwatch, but, a little bit different visuals, a little bit different, new maps, new modes, stuff like that. And I was always questioning, like, is this actually going to be like a full-fledged sequel? Because this is kind of a weird announcement. But now I feel like I'm a lot more excited now than I was before. And man, that New York map looks super freaking cool. Like that, when they were talking about the architecture and like matching like the architecture of New York and like trying to change that into like a sci-fi setting to make it fit the Overwatch theme, it looks so good. And also, I think that the campaign is probably the other thing that I'm very excited for, because obviously Overwatch doesn't really have that. I think they have some kind of like single player thing.
Yeah, they had like a couple of co-op events, like PvE events. I think it was called it had something to do with the enemies, like Reaper, Widowmaker, and two other characters would team up to fight the robot Null Sector. I think it was called Null Sector, actually. I'm not sure.
Oh.
There was that, and there was another one with Tracer and Reinhardt. They would team up to fight the Omnics as well. So they did have a couple, but not obviously on this scale.
Yeah, not like a full-fledged campaign with like cinematics to start and end. And that's what's so exciting, because I feel like their shorts that they put out for their new characters and stuff, whenever they would reveal new characters, was always very cool. And I always wanted like that, except in like a campaign format. So I think it's very interesting that they're gonna go down that path now, and just see like what this turns into. I want to see what these characters and these writers can do with these characters in this world. I think it's very, very cool for sure.
Definitely. Yeah, I'm so excited for the story mode in particular. Like you said, I love what they said they weren't impressed enough with what they showed in 2019 in terms of the PvE interactions with the enemies, like player and enemy interactions. So they really showed off how interactive the enemies are when they get hit by bullets, and it looks awesome. Like everything that they showed off. I don't know how else to explain it, but I'm definitely excited for whenever we get to play this game, which doesn't seem to be anytime soon. And unfortunately.
And to your point, I just read that there's an India map, there's a Gothenburg map, Toronto map that those are all campaign missions. Mm-hmm. So I guess they have on here that they're custom building the campaign story missions as well, which is super cool. That they're not just copying and pasting the multiplayer maps. That's very cool.
Oh man, I can't wait! Can't wait. But in other news, Drew Murray is back at Insomniac Games. So earlier this week, actually, Daniel, you brought this to my attention, that Drew Murray is, I'm just going to read what he said here. I guess 10 years, 5 games, and 6 job titles just wasn't enough. I'm excited to be rejoining many friends and former colleagues at Insomniac Games as a principal designer. That takes me to my 7th job title. Now I just need to work some days and make some games, right? So as he said, he's worked with Insomniac before, and he left, but now he's back. I believe you told me he was, or I believe I mentioned that he was on the Xbox side before, and I was coming back to the PlayStation side of things now that Insomniac's under the PlayStation tree. So he works on Sunset Overdrive for Xbox. Yeah. And I was coming back to work on Ratchet and Clank, I assume, or whatever else he may be working on.
Yeah.
But this was really interesting news. What do you think?
Yeah, and he was starting development on Perfect Dark with the initiative, obviously. So that's what's very fascinating, because we just talked about this. Me and Sean did, and you, I believe, talked about this on the other podcast. I can't remember the name. I feel bad for forgetting the name now.
I don't remember either.
Yes. But I think it's very fascinating, because he said at the time that it was a personal decision that he was leaving, and that he was still very excited for Perfect Dark. And so now I was like, at first when this came out, I was like, wait a minute, that doesn't make sense. I thought he was stepping away from games, but then I kind of thought about it. I was like, well, these are two different locations, so it very well could be like maybe his family didn't want to live in Santa Monica anymore, because while both of them are based in California, Santa Monica is like over an hour away from Burbank, I believe, is where Insomniac is at. So that's quite a ways away. If maybe he has kids, I'm not sure what his situation is, if he has kids, or if his wife has family that are in Burbank, or what it is. But I guess that side of it makes sense to me now. It's super awesome that he's returning to Insomniac, just because he made such great stuff with them, including the original Spider-Man and Ratchet and Clank as well, and as well as Sunset Overdrive, like you mentioned. So yeah, very excited that he's coming back, and yeah, that's about it.
Very cool, very cool. I don't know why I didn't put together that he was the same gentleman from the who stepped away, like you mentioned, from that studio earlier. I didn't realize that at all. So that is interesting.
Yes.
But yeah, I'm glad that he's back, because obviously very talented guy. Having all those games underneath his belt, having him back in the industry is definitely good news.
Mm-hmm.
But moving on to our next story, Mass Effect project has been teased by Henry Cavill, possibly. Henry Cavill, who has already brought Geralt to life in Netflix's The Witcher, has just teased that he may be working on a project set in the Mass Effect universe. I apologize for my terrible reading today. I apologize. He shared a photo on Instagram with the words "secret project?" or just a handful of paper with random words on it. I guess we'll just have to wait and see. But some keen-eyed fans, or people with super amazing technology, zoomed in with their super amazing technology and found some specific names that do have references in the Mass Effect universe, those names being Cerberus, Tali'Zorah, and Geth. You can tell me if I mispronounce those, because I haven't played Mass Effect yet, so I may have. But those are some names that are recognized by many Mass Effect fans out there. And apparently, the text that was shown was actually pulled directly from the Mass Effect 3's Wikipedia page, so it's pretty likely that he is working on some Mass Effect something. It could be a TV show, he could be lending his voice work to a game possibly, but what we're looking at here, it seems like he's getting ready for a shoot of some kind. So I do think it's more live action than a game, but we don't know. Could be mocap stuff, who knows. But what do you think about what this is? Do you think we are getting a Mass Effect something from Henry Cavill?
Possibly. And it may just be the fact that they have Henry Cavill in the next Mass Effect game that's coming, that we know is in development. That's just what they've had big they've had big actors before. Like Martin Sheen is probably one of the biggest ones that I could think of, who he played the Elusive Man. And he's a huge Hollywood actor, at least he was at one point. But I feel like that definitely could be a possibility, especially since Henry Cavill is such a big gamer, and he's been well known on the record to love video games. So it would not surprise me at all for him to be in a big RPG like the next Mass Effect game because he loves The Witcher, which is another big RPG. So yeah, I think that would be super cool just to see what he can do with that. But yeah.
Yeah, and like you said, we'll just have to wait and see for now. But I'm definitely excited to play the Mass Effect trilogy someday, eventually soon with the Legendary Collection.
Yes.
And yeah,
Very
excited
soon.
for very soon. Oh my gosh, May is just right around the corner. My goodness.
Yep.
But moving on to our next story, one that we see very often, well, not very often, but every so often, it keeps rearing its ugly head. Some politicians would like to get rid of violent games once again, blaming the video game industry for problems that it has not caused. But I'm reading from GameStop. ESA responds to call for games like GTA to be banned. In a story that seems to occur every few months, a politician is blaming violent video games for contributing to real-life crime. The organization that defends the video game industry across USA has released a statement in response to the Chicago lawmakers' plan to ban the sale of video games, just all of them, ban them all. The ESA, which also organized E3 this year, said in a statement that there is no evidence of a connection between video games and violence, as studies have shown. While industry understands and shares the concerns about what has been happening in Chicago, there simply is no evidence of a link between interactive entertainment and real-world violence, which I would agree with.
Yes.
And it seems like we keep having to say this over and over every time they bring it up. And it's, I don't know, I feel like there's a lot more time and effort that you're putting into this that could be spent elsewhere that may actually see a solution to some of these problems that they seem to be having.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's where I stand on it, and I'm sure that's where most people do.
Yeah. Yeah. But when we get whenever we get politicians involved in literally anything, it's always a bad idea for the most part. Like it's so this is such a terrible idea. It doesn't make any sense. Literally the bill was called, I think, Grand Theft Auto, which is stupid. What? Nobody goes and plays Grand Theft Auto and, hijacks a vehicle in Grand Theft Auto and says, man, I really want to go outside and hijack some vehicles today. That's not how that works. And like you said, Roro, there's been so many studies that have proven that this is complete bullshit and false, and people continue to feed this stupidity, and I just don't understand it. And for the people that say, kids shouldn't be playing this, well, of course kids shouldn't be playing this. That's why it's rated M for mature. That's why Grand Theft Auto has mature content, adult content in it that I would not want a kid playing. Like, a little kid should not be playing that. Absolutely. But that's up to the adult to be the adult and supervise the children and say, no, you cannot play this game. You can go play this other game that may be rated T, or sometimes there are M-rated games that even I would, there's certain games that are rated M that would make sense for kids to play, like Call of Duty, for instance. I don't feel like is super crazy, like for like a 10 to 12-year-old to play or whatever. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And it all comes down to the adults need to inform themselves about the video games and decide for themselves what the kids should be playing. Politicians should not have any force or any controlling factor over this whatsoever. It's, I hate stuff like this.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, me too. And I agree. I think it just comes down to the adult in the room. And sometimes the people playing the M-rated game, most of the times, people playing the M-rated games are adults, and I think they have the mental capacity not to go out and do the horrible stuff that they're doing in the game. But again, going back to your point with the, telling the kid not to play the game, I went to a GameStop when I wasn't allowed to play it. Like, I think I was 15, and I wasn't allowed to play these games. My mom wouldn't let me. Not to say that she was right or wrong for not letting me play those games, but I wasn't. But I went to the GameStop, and there was like this 6-year-old kid getting Grand Theft Auto, and I was just there. Oh, come on.
Yeah.
Oh, Mom, why? Please let me play it. But I totally get it, and I don't understand why this keeps coming up. It needs to stop. Stop.
For sure. Yeah.
But moving on to some quickie news here, before we get into the topic of the show. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 are coming to PS5, Xbox Series X, and the Switch on March 26th. So this is actually following Tony Hawk kind of asking for it on Twitter, hoping that his game would come to more platforms. Nintendo retweeted with like the little eye emoji, and then the next day this was announced. So it's obviously it's already available on PS4 and Xbox One and PC, but it coming to more consoles is always good news.
Yeah, agreed. And I played this on Xbox Series X via backwards compatibility with Xbox One, so I'm just excited to see an upgrade for it. Free upgrade.
Definitely.
Actually, that's not entirely true. It's not a free upgrade if you don't own, which this is a sticky situation. If you don't own the Premier Edition or I forget what the higher edition is, you have to pay $10 to get access to the next gen version, which it's like, whatever. But
yeah,
yeah,
that's a bit icky, but yeah. We'll see.
Yeah.
I mean, we have seen that's not a good way to do things, guys.
No.
But regardless, moving on to our next story, another well, not another classic, but a classic coming to PS4 on April 6th. Star Wars Republic Commando, which is an FPS shooter, is coming to PS4, and it came with a really cool trailer. I have zero experience with this game, so I don't know how much of a visual upgrade it's gotten, but it didn't look terrible. But obviously, a lot of Star Wars fans are happy about this news. Daniel, are you at all interested in Star Wars Republic Commando coming to PS4?
To be honest, I did not even play this before. I'm assuming this is a port from a previous gen. I don't even know.
Yeah.
I never played this before, so I'm really indifferent about this. I'm a little curious why it's only on PlayStation 4 and Switch. That's just a weird combo.
I heard a lot of people saying that it should be on Xbox more than anything. So I don't know its history, but it seems like it being excluded from Xbox is kind of silly, which it is, whether or not it was on Xbox at all. But yeah, shame.
It is very, very odd. It just doesn't make any sense to be on, the console that came out last gen and the Switch. That's such a weird, I don't know, a weird combo. And I just Googled it real quick. Apparently it came out in 2005 on Windows and Xbox. So
see, that's why people are upset. Like, it came out on those things. Why is it not coming out on those things?
Right.
Yeah.
That makes no sense.
But moving on to our final story before we get into the topic of the show, Valheim is killing it, and it has been continuing to kill it since its release just, I think, last week. The incredible rise of Valheim continues, with the game now having passed 4 million copies sold through Steam Early Access after just 21 days. Sorry, not last week. It's been out for a while. But still, super fast growing. I've seen so many people hop on this train. I don't know if you've joined in on this, Daniel. It's like $20, so I'm definitely looking into it. With all the hype that it's gotten, it's attracted over 500,000 concurrent players.
I have not.
A lot of, no, it's like survival games usually aren't my cup of tea. I always try them because they look like they would be my cup of tea, but I never stick with them.
Yeah.
But this one looks like a lot of fun, so I may check it out, especially at its price. So
before you move on, Roro, just a quick thing. So I looked it up. Star Wars Republic Commando is actually backwards compatible on Xbox. So you can play the original Xbox version of Republic Commando on Xbox One and Series X. And if I had to guess, I don't know this for sure, but if I had to guess, I would assume that it has the 4K enhancements that many original Xbox games got. I don't know that for a fact, but I would assume it does. And that's why it's not re-releasing, because you can just get the original Xbox version.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Alrighty. Well, there you have it.
Yep.
That clears a lot of things up, I'm sure.
Yep.
Well, moving on to what we're playing and what we're working on before we get to the topic of the show.
Yes.
Right now, I am just working on the website, thankyougames.com, doing my podcast and writing as much as I can about video games, one of which I am writing about right now is Bravery Network Online, which I'm moving into the games that I'm playing.
Yeah.
Bravery Network Online is a turn-based RPG that's in early access on Steam right now, and it's really fun. Like the combat is simple, but it also has pretty deep mechanics that you would expect from any turn-based RPG that has a turn-based battle system. There's like the weak points, and it has a lot of interesting elements to it that make it unique. Like there's status ailments that are a little bit different than what you expect. Like there's emotional attacks, for example, where you can make your enemy feel hungry. Like you can send them a lunch invite, and when they feel hungry, they get increasingly more hungry, and that takes off a chunk of their health at the end of each turn. There's another one where I ran into a group of fans that were on the enemy team, and obviously them being a group of fans, they're not actual fighters. When I attacked them, I was inflicted with a status ailment called guilt. So when I defeated them, I was also defeated because I felt guilty for defeating them. So there's some really cool modes in there and status effects that make it very interesting to play. But besides that, I'm playing Persona 5 Strikers, loving that. I'm sure you guys know, I might have mentioned it before, I love Persona 5. It's just more Persona, which I wasn't expecting, actually. It's like pretty much just a Persona 5 game with a different type of gameplay. So I'm really enjoying that. And Animal Crossing New Horizons. You may have seen, Daniel, that I restarted my island. I erased everything. I killed all my villagers. I just nuked the whole place. And I'm actually having a blast going back through it. Starting over, obviously, the beginning is a bit rough with all the tutorials, especially having so many hours underneath my belt. I know how this game works. Just having to do it all over again kind of sucked. But I'm having a lot of fun rebuilding it from the ground up again. But that's pretty much all I've been playing. Surprisingly, no Destiny this week.
Interesting. I did see your tweet with the image of Animal Crossing, and I was like, I wonder if that means he created a new island, because I didn't even know what that meant. I was like, but I bet that he created a new island, and you did.
I did.
There you go. And also that game, just the Bravery Network Online, that gave me an idea of a game of my own. You just feed your opponents with restaurants that are just like bad for you, and it just like it gives them cardiac arrest, and it gives them like I don't know all kinds of bad stuff, and then you win. I just got this terrible idea in my head, so yeah, that's.
I'm sure there's like some crazy status ailments that I haven't run into that probably are like that.
Yeah,
for sure.
So
I'm excited to get deeper into it.
Yeah. I've been playing Master Chief Collection still a lot, so I won't discuss that anymore. But one thing I did play last night that I wanted to highlight is I played MLB The Show technical tests. So it's an early like technical build of MLB The Show on Xbox Series X, which is insane. I know we talked about this when they announced it coming to Xbox, but it was just such a weird experience to boot up this technical test and Sony Interactive Entertainment coming up on the screen, and you're playing on Xbox. It's just so bizarre, but it's very good. It looks very good, so it looks like they did a great job with the port, which I'm very excited about. And I am going to get it because it's been many years since I've played a baseball game. And I do love my hometown baseball team, the Reds. Go Reds. Even though they suck. But it'll be very cool to actually jump back into the show on Xbox this time instead of PlayStation. So it's kind of neat.
Nice. Definitely. Well, I am excited to hopefully play more Animal Crossing later. Yeah. And as I'm sure you're excited to play some more Master Chief later.
Yeah.
But moving on to our topic of the show. Finally, we're talking about all the PlayStation news that came out this week and what is hopefully to come tomorrow. But starting with a little one, more PlayStation games, PlayStation exclusive games, are coming to the PC, starting with Days Gone. So, an interview with GQ, Jim Ryan, CEO of Sony Interactive, confirms that more PlayStation games are coming to PC, starting with Days Gone, as I just said. When asked by the interviewer, Robert Ledman, whether releasing Horizon Zero Dawn on PC last August was a success, Jim Ryan responded positively. people liked it and they bought it. Ryan says, we also looked at it through the lens of what the PlayStation community thought about it. There was no massive adverse reaction to it, so we will continue to take mission steps in this direction. So he also says there's a whole slate of PlayStation games coming to PC, again, starting with Days Gone in the spring. So one thing from the quote that I don't necessarily agree with is that the PlayStation audience didn't have an adverse reaction to it, which I feel like every time they announce a game is coming to PC, the fanboys get very upset for whatever reason.
Yes.
But I think it's great. Having it on PC is obviously, I don't understand how that could be bad news in any way you take it. But what do you think about this news? What else do you think is coming, hopefully, to PC?
Yeah, I think the fanboys' reaction is no different than the Xbox fanboys' reaction when Microsoft first started, when they first started their initiative on PC, which was before Game Pass and before all their initiatives they have going now, where they had the Play Anywhere thing where you bought it on Xbox and you would also own it on PC as well. And I know a lot of fanboys were upset about Phil Spencer announcing that all exclusives would be coming to PC as well in the future. And fanboys were like, oh my gosh, this is awful. It's the end of Xbox and all this. It's like, no, this is only good thing. It means more people are playing these games. And it also means, like, if you own a PC, you're in a great position because you can play all the games essentially, and maybe not all of them, because I think that in regards to this, I think that PlayStation is definitely going to hold back stuff. I don't think that they're going to release their big tentpole stuff on PC, or at least not yet. Like Spider-Man, like God of War, like Last of Us. I don't think that those will come soon. Maybe down the line they'll be like, okay, maybe we could actually make a lot more money by doing this. But I think for now they like having those exclusives on their console to bring people into their ecosystem, to make people buy their hardware. But I do think stuff like Days Gone, and other things that we've already seen, like I know Horizon is on there, which you would think Horizon's a big tentpole, but that's a brand new franchise, so it's not as, it's not as big as a God of War or, Last of Us or Uncharted or that kind of thing. So I definitely think we'll continue to see stuff like that. And maybe what they'll do moving forward is like new IP they will release on PlayStation 5 and PC. Because obviously whenever you release a new IP, that's a scary time because you are releasing to a very small group of people already, and you have people that have never even played this franchise, so they may not be as interested in it because they've never played it before. So you put it on more platforms to get more eyes on it and more people interested in it. So
definitely. Yeah, I like you were saying, like, I don't understand how this could be seen as a bad thing in any shape or form. And even for the company itself, like you said that Microsoft fans saw like, oh no, this is the end of Xbox. Like, this is still money in their pocket.
Yeah.
If anything, they're benefiting from it a lot. Like getting, like you said, getting more money and also getting more people to come over, hopefully, to their platforms to play the sequels and whatever else and other games that aren't on PC yet. The day The Last of Us, though, or Spider-Man or Uncharted or any of those games ends up on PC is the day that my head explodes. I would that would be insane. That would be so crazy. But I do think that they're going to continue to be a bit more specific in what they choose. Like Days Gone isn't super surprising. Horizon, like you said, new IP. Death Stranding is another one. But if The Last of Us comes to PC, that'll be crazy. And I would be here for it, but that'll be crazy. I'd love that. Yeah. But moving on to our next story, PlayStation VR 2 has been announced. Sony confirms next-gen VR system for PlayStation 5, which is something that was kind of up in the air for a lot of fans. We're wondering, are we going to get a new headset? Apparently we are. Enhances everything, single cord connection, new VR controller included DualSense features. Won't launch in 2021, however. This next-gen VR system will offer better resolution, field of view tracking, and input, and will allow high-fidelity visuals. Developers apparently are already have begun creating new worlds for VR, according to PlayStation. So it's underway. PlayStation VR 2 is a thing, but we won't be seeing it anytime soon, apparently.
Yeah. I think we're hearing Sean Babiak just yell
Oh.
with excitement somewhere right now because because he was very much looking forward to this, and he has a current PlayStation VR. So, and I think the biggest thing is we no longer have PlayStation 3 Move controllers as the main controllers for VR. It's like, oh, I think he'll be excited about that as well. Although he has about 12 Move controllers because I gave him all of mine. I'm like, I don't need these, so take them. Yeah, it's very interesting. I think it's a big upgrade for sure. I probably won't get it just because I have a Quest already and it's already versatile. I can play stuff on it standalone, or I can plug it into my PC and play more high fidelity experiences. So unless there's something exclusive that like I have to play, I probably won't dive in. But does this kind of pique your interest at all, Roro? I'm curious.
I'm definitely happy that when I do get a PlayStation 5, whenever that may be, PSVR isn't in its future for sure. I'm definitely excited about that because it's definitely something that I want to get into. Um, it being affordable for me is another question, but I'm sure PlayStation has been the most affordable option aside from the Quest. Actually, one of the one that you just mentioned is a pretty good entry point as well. But I think what a lot of people are saying is that it's good enough, and that's really all it needs to be for me as well. And for the price, I just want to get into some VR experiences. So it is definitely something that piques my interest, and it being a better experience with just the one chord with how it is now with all those cords. It's like too many chords for what it is right now. So it's good that they're definitely optimizing the experience for players. So I'm definitely interested. I don't know how. Sorry,
I have a dog jumping on my lap. Sorry.
No, it's okay. But yeah, I'm definitely excited. But it'll be quite some time until I have it before it's released, let alone when I'll be able to pick it up myself. But definitely excited and happy that it's coming to the PS5. But moving on to our next story here, PlayStation's Play at Home initiative is back. Ratchet and Clank PS4 is to be available for free from March 1st to March 31st, so very soon. Once you redeem the game, it'll be yours to keep. More to come in the future. So this Play at Home initiative has returned. It's something that they've done in the past, and they're going to be bringing free games to players just because, which is awesome. They definitely have been saying that the COVID-19 pandemic gamer is something that they want to cater to. The people that are playing at home because they can't leave their home. So they're offering us with some free games. I think they did Uncharted, the Nathan Drake collection, at one point. So it's really cool that they're bringing this back.
Yes, and it's perfect timing because the new game's coming here in just a few months. So like anyone who hasn't played this, now they can play it. It's perfect. It's very smart on Sony's behalf because it's like they're essentially saying, here you go, here's the game. Why don't you buy the sequel that comes out here in a few months? So
yeah, definitely. And along with this, they also announced their friends at Funimation are kicking in with a very special offer: extended access for new subscribers to Funimation and Wakanim, I'm not sure what that is, in the countries they are available. So get some free anime on top of your free game, which is fantastic for me. But moving on to the next story, which is a pretty big one. State of Play is coming back tomorrow, February 25th. Reading from their blog post here, time for another State of Play. This Thursday, a State of Play broadcast will serve up new updates and deep dives for 10 games coming to PS4 and PS5. That I didn't even realize. I don't know. I didn't read the blog post. I just read the Twitter thing. So 10 games from coming to PS4 and PS5, including new game announcements and updates on some third-party and indie titles you last saw in June's PS5 showcase. The show time is going to run for about 30 minutes, give or take, is what he says. So that's what we can expect for how long the show is going to be. Obviously, you can find it on Twitch and YouTube, coming to you at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Super exciting stuff. I don't know. I honestly don't know what to expect. I'm kind of going in with very low expectations, but
yeah,
hopefully we get some God of War stuff. Who knows?
I think we'll definitely see Returnal, and I think we'll definitely see more Ratchet and Clank. The question is, what are they going to show? Something that's like a surprise, or are they going to show possibly more Horizon Forbidden West, or like you said, God of War Ragnarok? But my thing is I think God of War is still a long way away. I think it's still going to be 2022, or like, possibly Q2 2022, and I think Forbidden West is still on track for this fall. I have a dog jumping up at me right now. I'm trying to hold him back, but I think that Forbidden West is a possibility that we may get like maybe a little sneak peek of some gameplay or something from that. I think that would be awesome. I'm not sure what else they would have, to be honest, to show, but a surprise would be cool too. Do you have any ideas of what you?
I think we're going to see, like you said, Returnal. I hope that we see some more Kenna Bridge of Spirits, which is something they did mention, that some returning stuff from the last one we may see some more of. So I hope we do see more of that. Final Fantasy 16, maybe they show off a little bit more of that. I know some people are hoping Final Fantasy 7 Remake Part 2 is shown off. I don't know about that, but that would be awesome.
Yeah,
that'd be crazy. But I don't think we're quite there yet. But maybe we get a little bit more of the Final Fantasy 16. But besides that, I really don't know. I'm hoping Horizon Zero Dawn 2 gameplay finally get a look at that. But besides that, I'm pretty like open to whatever they're going to show me. I really am going in with open mind, and I'm excited to see what they show us for sure.
Yes, I agree completely.
Well, that wraps it up. Is there anything you would like to add, Daniel, before I do the outro?
Just that take in this view, because next week I will be in my bedroom because I'm getting some flooring installed on my main floor here, so I have to clear all my furniture out of here and put it in the garage, because next week I have to paint, because I wanted to paint while there's no flooring in here, and this dog is going crazy. And then the week after, they're installing flooring. So a couple weeks, I'm going to be in my bedroom for the podcast. So new scenery.
Yeah. New scenery, new setup. We'd love to see it. We'll love to see it.
Yes.
That's exciting stuff, everybody. We get to see Daniel's bedroom, as creepy as it sounds.
Yeah. All the exciting things you get to see, yeah.
Moving on to the outro. Let's close it out here. Thank you, everyone, for joining us both live on Twitch and on YouTube, as well as podcast services like Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, SoundCloud, and Spotify, and Stitcher. You can catch us here live on Twitch and on YouTube every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. But until then, thank you, Daniel, and later will be great.
Much love.